a famosa inspiração,
Sim.
que é uma coisa que as pessoas dizem, toda a gente tem ideias. Não, a inspiração, eles falam muito de seres um condutor.
Sim.
Quantas vezes é que tu ouviste uma pessoa a dizer o livro escreveu-se?
Sim.
A música, o Aleluia
Sim.
do Leonard Cohen. Né? Tipo, as pessoas eu acho que ainda não perceberam bem que as coisas... E tu não sabes de onde é que elas vêm. E
Sim.
elas depois vão embora.
Sim. Elas não, mas é mesmo, elas não ficam.
Não. E tu pensas, já caneco.
Falhou.
Porquê que eu não... Eu agora ando a pensar, sabes o que é que eu fazia? Não era gravar. Eu sei, mas depois isso vai para o surveillance e vai ser um problema. Que era ter um coisa permanente durante o dia do AI.
E está sempre...
E enquanto eu estava a falar eu ouvia...
Eu tenho um amigo que faz isso. Eu tenho um amigo meu que faz isso.
Sim.
Eu tenho um amigo meu que faz isso. Ele é inventor. É a única...
Os óculos agora que também tem câmera.
Epá, eu tenho um amigo meu que é a única pessoa que eu conheço que é mesmo... A profissão dele é inventor.
Eu também, o senhor holandês, o Mr. Dion Janssen.
Ah, não. O meu é Giovanni.
Que giro.
Mas é holandês também. E ele faz isso. Ele está sempre a gravar as cenas.
Sim.
Está sempre a falar. Quando ele começa... Aliás, ele às vezes está a falar comigo. Espera. E grava tudo.
Eu uma vez parei na A4 na Holanda. Tive literalmente uma visão e eu queria... era um produto. Ainda o hei de fazer. Porque algumas são fortes e tu nunca mais te esqueces delas.
Sim.
Mas eu sei que não me esqueci dela porque eu parei na autoestrada, desenhei o produto, não é? E pensei, isto um dia ainda vai acontecer.
Sim.
Ainda vou ver
Há aquelas
isto.
coisas que tu sentes, que é...
Sim. Não vai ser agora.
Não vai ser agora,
mas isto ainda vai
mas isto
acontecer.
é meu.
Sim.
É para fazer.
Sim.
Eu também tenho algumas coisas assim.
Não é? E depois ficas... Ou às vezes digo assim, pessoas certas vão aparecer.
Certo.
Porque às vezes também é uma questão de pessoas.
Sim. Sempre, tempo, pessoas.
Sim.
Já estás a gravar? Ok. Já estamos a gravar.
Pronto. É isto. Já está para fazer.
Já estamos. Podemos continuar.
Já estamos.
Podes
Agora
meter isto
passamos
na
é para o
introdução.
inglês.
Vai ficar giro assim na introdução
Sim,
e depois...
já estávamos. Isto, já fizemos uma coisa em português e dá para o público em português.
Em português? Género.
Nós agora
Olha,
vamos...
se quiserem ver...
Isso.
Okay, so welcome.
Thank you so much, Lígia.
We were already talking, so we now going like, wow, formally, foco.
Yeah.
Focus. So we were, for a long time already, trying to match our agendas to find a moment to record this podcast. Funny enough, we are doing this in Portugal. So, both of us living in Holland, and suddenly we like, wow, we are in Portugal at the same time. So we have the studio there. So let's go. And
A magnificent studio.
Yeah, a magnificent studio. So let's do this. And finally we are here. Yeah. And I honestly don't remember. Oh no, I know how we met. We met in a dinner, also a Portuguese friend, something
like that. Yeah.
And then, sometimes we talk, and then
sometimes we don't.
We don't.
I see your posts on social media. Yeah.
So but I think we have a lot in common.
We do, and actually, you were very kind. Because during the pandemic, you did a workshop. Breathe.
Yes.
For Humanity of Things.
Yes. Because that is one of your projects.
Yeah.
One of the projects. So, first of all, I want to ask you, what do you do? If you can, just to give a little bit of a glimpse.
A glimpse.
Of what we are going to bring here.
We were literally talking about the fact that I do many things, and that it's a problem on itself. That's exactly what we were talking as friends, is like having a woman that has many projects apparently is more complicated than a man. And I do became... there's so many words to classify people, and I try to find them and see because I like to be precise. Yeah. And I like to be extremely transparent. And I think people could call me a serial entrepreneur.
Yeah.
For the business.
I like that.
Yeah, I heard that topic. And
maybe.
Then you also had that TED Talk that talked about the multi-potential people that, they fit in nowhere and everywhere.
Yeah.
And I think at the same time, I really like the idea. Now I have two ways of describing myself, that is humanity agent.
Yeah.
I really like that side of me.
Yeah.
Because that one is present in everything I do.
Yeah.
Business, non-business, I do feel like that one is very, very firm. And also this term that I was so bothered that I talked about the Renaissance man. And we were talking that for a while. I said that I was a Da Vincian, meaning, like someone that would align with that. But at the same point, one day I thought, no, I'm a Renaissance woman, because there's not that. Nobody talks about the Renaissance woman as a concept, because of course there's a historical time, but the idea of someone that is eager, curious, and 360 in life and in everything. So I would like to be seen as someone that through life continues to follow areas, projects that are not of what people would traditionally put someone like me. And very, very fast, I start as a lawyer. Then as a lawyer, I also start bringing different perspectives, mediator, data protection officer. So I was able to almost have a 360 of law. Then, of course, I end up in legal innovation with Innova Legal, that is literally to focus on legal innovation. But then technology came really big. So I'm with the European Legal Tech Association. I'm with Women in Tech. But I'm fascinated by cybersecurity. So you see, now I prefer to say I have 4 pillars. Me as a person in my family, the very human side, the business with the Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Netherlands, Portugal, and my own business as an entrepreneur, Humanity of Things Agency for human literacy and literacy in the 21st century. And the 4th pillar is the pillar in a sense of where everything is combined, is the multi-helix of it all. So
and because before we were talking about, and I think we have the same experience of people wanting that we specialize.
Focus,
right?
Marisa,
focus. And I got exactly the same feedback. You know what I mean? So I got the feedback that you should dedicate yourself to one thing and create even your audience and whatever. And I go like, why? I'm not like that. And I think,
and it would sound so fake.
Yeah, because I have multiple things that I like to do and multiple interests. But I think one of the things is that all this, and also for you, when I hear you, is it's almost like, okay, I will do multiple things, but needs to be with what normally people say, a lot of passion, a lot of motive,
and a sense of meaning. The things that you do, and well, we have also something in common: the Portuguese in the Netherlands, and the Netherlands changed me a lot. In the sense that it's a much more practical society. It's a society that is very focused on the financial outcomes of everything. Sometimes I hear, of course he's trying to be sweet, but sometimes my husband says things like, oh, but is that bringing you any financial return or something like that? And I said, the returns sometimes are so much more than the financial return. Look, there's 2 sides, and I come from a very normal family. With 19 years old, I did lost my father, and I saw the importance of the economical side because I was alone with my mom. And so I understand that you need the economical sustainability. What I feel is that, and we know that, the pyramid, as the base is fulfilled, you start thinking about other things. And I think most of what I do is also the result of what would you do if money is not a thing. And ironically, this week I met a dear friend here in Portugal, and we were not together almost for 10 years. And he's an entrepreneur, always very connected with the business world, and now he's doing the second part of his life, and he's sailing, and he's doing so many things. But we came to the conclusion that while he sees freedom and enjoyment in doing those things, so for him the business, the activities, I look at him and I say, well, the same way you went with a sailing boat to Brazil and with your friends, I'm not saying that that is not amazing, but I feel so much fulfillment in doing other things, like humanity of things and being with people and creating and supporting.
I think it's this, sometimes people ask me, like, if money was not a problem,
what would you do?
What do you do? And I said,
the same.
Probably the same.
Yeah.
Because I think some people just do it because they feel a kind of, not even fulfillment, but like a kind of a mission.
Yeah.
The cause.
Yeah.
This is my motive.
If I would have more money now, the Euro Milhões that was there, I don't know how many millions were there, but I do that exercise frequently.
Yeah.
And I know very well, for example, I love law.
Yeah.
I became a lawyer because I do have this sense of justice and well, my professor in the first years of school, so the first 4 years of school was the same professor. And she was the first person saying to my mom, oh, she must be a lawyer, because every time I'm trying to say something to a kid, she comes and says, yeah, but he didn't mean that. No, I was really trying to advocate immediately for the kids. So she was the first one
seeing the
lawyer in me. So it comes very natural. But of course, this is not a criticism. Lawyers need to have is a business. Yeah. But if you would say, okay, then money, and also money is not a problem and you can invest a lot, I would create my own law clinic of free support.
Yeah.
And people say, oh, but don't you buy
a house or
and
whatever.
Go and have, no, literally not.
Yeah.
Because I would feel, and the pampering, I always say, and I'm very privileged in that sense. Yeah. So once or twice per year, I'm part of some organizations, and some of the events are more in the pampering style. I was just now in London for the launch of a book that I'm co-author, and it's very nice. But I honestly would not be able to live
that as a routine.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And when do you, for instance, look to the world right now?
Yeah.
What you will be like, I will change this and I will change that and I will change that.
Like in the sense, I was trying. I'm a big fan of the theory of everything, and physics and all of that, and even now the integration of what would be the consciousness. We stopped saying words like soul and spirit. We prefer consciousness. We are in this era that apparently everything
cannot
that
be too
was
fluffy.
Cannot or too. I do think that consciousness and the understanding of it all is the great grail of the human experience, and at the same time, I think our generation is blessed and cursed at the same time. We saw the last part of a world. We see the transition, and we're seeing really the beginning of a new world. And when I was trying to develop the concept of literacy, Humanity of Things started with one question in my mind that was always annoying me. You wake up in the morning, and I was like, do we know what we need to know? Even with the job applications, because I would start seeing, I have this hobby of seeing what kind of job applications are open, vacancies, what they ask in my area in particular. I kept being very curious on that sense. And I was like, do we know what we need to know? And then I started looking back and thinking, okay, so in the past, for you to say that you were literate, you need to read and write. That was the basics, a little bit of math, but that was the basics. Now it's not. So the concept of humanity of things came, and even, Da Vinci, we inspired the square, the circle, but we took the man out and we put a butterfly. And the idea was even to, it was and it is, but again, I have two hands and a short limited of time, but the idea is to contact the Oxford Dictionary and propose an addition to the definition of literacy that encapsulate what now we believe is 4 vectors of knowledge. That is the side of the things, and we have like 4. So the things and life. So digital and tech, human and planet in one circle. And you need to know the basics of these 4 in order to be literate in the 21st century. And of course, my favorite pillar is human literacy, much more than all the others. Technology are tools, digital is just another space, planet is the Mother Earth, but it is what it is and we cannot control it. We just need to protect it as much as we can and live in symbiosis. But I think the big new renaissance is the renaissance of the human mind. Understanding what we are. And it used to be, this knowledge used to be for a really small amount of people that had access to books. We are now in the era that could really potentiate this knowledge at a large scale. And what do you do with this? And that's why this figure of human agents, because this is not just me, but what I say is that, and the follow-up hashtag was claim your agency. It's up to you. It's not up to the state. It's not up to the others. It's up to you. And feeling that you are an agent of your life and the life surrounding you, and going finally of the understanding that you are a body. Yes, you are a body. You should know more about the body. We are really ignorant, and that's disturbing for me. Then, of course, in particular, a few parts of the body, the heart, of course, we know it's very important. But this beautiful thing we have here, it's such a beautiful thing. So our brains, we know so little about our brains still. And if you want to call it consciousness, call it consciousness. I'm very comfortable with the word soul because I was raised Catholic. But I respect everybody, so if people are not comfortable with that, it's okay. But these 3 dimensions, and knowing that reality is based in 3, we know in the scientific side, so the triangle is the base of all existence, we are also a triangle. And who you are as an individual and how you interact with all the rest, the circle in the square, I think it's the great adventure of the 21st century. I really believe people, our dear Elon Musk wants to go to Mars. I joke on Twitter saying, first, let's, this is almost like a marriage that went wrong. Try to fix first the problems here on Earth, and then we go to another place. The oceans and the bottom of the oceans is an adventure, but the great adventure is the mind and the human mind and what we can do with this energy. And being Portuguese, Ligia, in the sense of recuperation of the concept of the Fifth Empire. That would be that more, it's not an empire of money, it's not an empire of power, it's an empire, it's literally our full capacity as humans.
I think that is what I feel the same. Like I think a lot on the troubles that we have right now is because we are not using our own powers. And I always say that we have one organ, let's say, in our body that needs protection, and that is our head. And it's the only organ that is really protected by,
it's why there's the skull.
So that probably means something, right? And I think the ignorance about our own system, I like to call it a system because everything is interconnected. I think like we are so ignorant, And sometimes, and you heard me already talk about this, like for instance, people think that because they breathe, they do it well.
Yeah, and they don't.
Because they walk, they do it well. Like, no, it's much more potential there. And I think we get satisfied to the minimum.
Yeah.
We are pretty much satisfied with the minimum of us. I can breathe, okay. I can walk, okay. I can, process something, okay. Like, but it's so much more there. And
or even, don't you think, I'm very curious actually about your opinion, because yesterday we were having this conversation about, for example, schools and the way that we design this new schools.
Yeah.
And I was saying my problem is well, not only we don't go to the potential, but we even normalize what is against us.
Yeah.
And that is, for me.
For instance, one of the things at this moment with my middle daughter is me and a teacher, we are making really an effort for her not to lose her creativity. Yes. Instead, you know what I mean? So we are, both of us, because he's also very creative, and he said, for me, the only thing that I want is that, yes, I want her, to pass the exams and to do the school, but I want her to do that without losing the creativity.
And also, I also don't understand why we continue. That's why I talk about. It's we all know.
Yeah.
There's piles and piles and piles of information, and we continue in this path. It's almost like, I read a book many years ago. For the ones that don't, please do. It was, I think, it's an exercise of humor that allows you to continue to be sane.
Yeah.
And in Portuguese is Teoria Geral da Estupidez Humana. The theory of, the general theory of human stupidity. Yeah. And the definition of stupidity in that book is an active resistance to intelligence.
Yeah.
And I feel like we are in the peak of the stupidity era.
Yes.
Because before it was ignorance.
Yes.
And ignorance is blessed in a sense of it's not by choice.
Yeah.
And I don't have anything against ignorance. Actually, is a path for amazing adventures.
And it's good that we are ignorant.
Exactly.
Because allows progress.
Yes. And also sometimes you hear so many people say, if I would have known, I would not have started.
Yeah.
So that kind of ignorance is very good.
Yes.
But at the same time, the active resistance to intelligence, it's the problem. And with children, with us, even the way we work. I remember in the Netherlands when I opened the legal center, because I didn't want to have a law firm. I wanted to bring also my mediation certification, and even the way I saw the services. But the first office, much before all this new, I wanted to have a couch, and I wanted to have plants, and I remember saying, especially to the young people that were with me, like, the couch is not for the visits, neither for me. If during the day you want to, just what you do in the house, that you would take your laptop and you go there. We used to have a little blanket, a mantinha, and I said, and we would have the tea, and we would have a little bit of food, and there was always a little bit of the flowery environment. And I remember having clients, in particular men, that would be always nice, say, oh, it feels so nice to be here. De gezellig, right? And I feel like, and now you see a little bit going back to these places that are very non-human.
Yeah.
And I feel like you spend so much time there. Why do you want things that are so cold? Why do you want... I did a service for a company that work in furniture that was good for your body.
Ah, okay.
And their motto was, what is the best position to be? And they say, you say, standing, sitting. And then the guy smiles and says, the best position is the next one. Meaning you need to be in movement.
Yeah.
And the desks were, you could put them up, you could sit. In their meetings, for example, it was very normal that people during the meeting would stand, walk a little bit, go here, go there. And I thought, you see, we already know, but we prefer to put people sitting hours and hours in front of computers, like machines
Yes.
that we are not,
Yeah.
and we design schools to produce the machines. And when people now say, oh, children with special needs, the neurodivergence, this and that, they need to adapt.
Yeah.
And I think you don't need to adapt to a malfunction world.
No,
You
yeah.
actually need to use
Yeah.
this new beautiful brains
Yeah.
to create new positivity, and the neurotypicals
Yeah.
could then benefit from that.
Yeah, but I think the main thing, but it happens all over the human experience, is that we all know, but we don't want to decide.
Yeah.
Decision is, tough. People, because
And being different is tough
yeah,
because you are alone.
yeah,
It's more, I think now, as more I talk with people that are or entrepreneurial or creative, or there's the other side, the price to pay, is that some days you just would like to be extremely normal. Meaning fitting, not doing anything different, yeah, we were talking with Tiago, the person that has this amazing place. You should contact her. And when he was saying, "Oh, I was so relaxed in the blackout,"
yeah,
but at the same time, the anxiety, right? And that's what I mean. It's so.
But I think it's okay to say, I'm both.
Yes.
I'm both.
Yeah.
Like I think sometimes what I, at least for me.
But don't you think that the both is the problem? Because I see that your work goes a lot, and I as I say, there are some people that I feel like I know them very well, even if we rarely talk.
Yeah.
And I think also a big part of the work you've been doing, it's to have this invitation of integration.
Yeah.
Because you don't separate.
No.
You try to show that it's neither this or that.
Yeah.
And that I think it's a big part. I think but it's difficult, huh?
It's very
for people to understand that side.
I know for a long time, because of my background in philosophy, I for a long time, every time that someone said Descartes is the father of philosophy, I would say, please make me orphan.
Yes,
I'm an orphan.
Yes, or bring me the mother.
Exactly, bring me someone else, because of course the thing that comes from Descartes, that is not even what he said, but the thing comes is I think I exist. So, and he brought the division, the idea, or at least he was interpreted as the division, body, mind, So even in language, we divide.
True.
And I go like, it's not possible. It's not possible to divide. You are not sad or happy. It's not so black and white.
And
you know what I mean?
And the understanding, for example, and especially because we both are women, I talk a lot. That what we do love philosophy. The only excellent grade I had, I was an average student in law. I really didn't like to spend much time in the books, and especially memorizing. I would like to understand, and therefore, and again, I worked through my college. So to be honest, it was survival mode. I just wanted to do it. I was not there for much more. But philosophy of law, in the last year, the professor said, why didn't we saw you before? In the sense of, oh my God. And I said, well, this is the first time I'm talking about something that I really like, philosophy of law. I don't want you to memorize. I want to go deep in what is the law for what and what is the future. So I don't...
But also, for instance, one of the things that happened with me when I went to work, in the corporate world with a philosophy background.
The shock.
I really decided that because I wanted to have that experience. And I remember that I had the lawyer from the company, and we were a great combination because he always said, incredibly, you see law
Yeah.
that I never saw before.
Yeah.
Because you pick up and you mix.
Yes.
And I'm like, but that's not the way you should be.
Yes.
And so I understand when you say, okay,
Exactly.
that is what should be, right?
Yes.
Because in the moment that we divide, we lose.
And that's why when they keep telling us, focus, meaning choose
Exactly.
one
Choose
thing.
one. Yeah.
Choose one
Yeah.
thing. I had recently someone that even said openly, ideas are nothing because they are so mechanical. And for them the idea is nothing, just execution in a sense, right?
Yeah.
Like don't bother to have ideas.
Yeah.
And I was so shocked.
Yeah.
And like, I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
But what you are saying is that ideas are only worthy if they are commercialized.
Yeah.
And I would like to know what would have happened to us as a human species if
yeah.
we would have taken Newton and make a business plan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would he pass?
Probably not.
Would Einstein pass with all the brains, amazing brains, and all
not.
and creation doesn't come with a business plan.
No.
So, and that's why I remember being in the Netherlands in an event about innovation plateau in the business field.
Yeah.
And the expression used was the ocean is flat. Because they tried to create a factory of innovation. Yeah. It does not work.
Yeah.
You can bring the factory after.
Yeah, exactly.
But
because I think people are looking for the structure, right? And the structure, let's say, is a structure in chaos as well. But it's not a structure that we can, put it in a
much less sense. A business case.
Yeah, exactly.
That is so.
We cannot make sense of it from the start.
Yeah.
Is a structure, but we cannot make sense of it. Yeah. And we are always looking for that. This makes sense. I'm going to give you an example. Maybe for us also to touch we are two women, so let's bring that. I remember one time, my father. So I had a huge process to choose my my next step in university, because I was doing arts, I was doing ballet, I was doing theater, I loved writing. They thought that I could be a good lawyer.
You could.
I like to communicate, so for me it was really difficult. I love science, I love biology, you know what I mean? So it was like, now what? Yeah. I need to go focus. Yeah. And my father was a blessing. My father say, okay, give me, more or less the areas. So in a summer, I went to some of his friends. I went to a lawyer. I ended up doing radio for 10 years after that, because I thought maybe I want to be a journalist. Yeah. So I went to these places to see, okay, let me go to see what is the day-to-day, if I really like the day-to-day. And I end up like, I don't like this, I don't like this. So I didn't like anything.
You choose by...
No. Wait. And then... I had a aunt that was a nun. We also had that in common, right? Yes. Let's not go there, because that will be another conversation. And then she said, I know someone that can help you. And I like, okay, because she was my person to go when I was like, so I know someone. So I went to Lisbon, and I went to this priest. Yeah. And he said, you come with me. I explained what was going on. I was explaining what was going on, and he said, you come with me. So he took me to the university, and he said, you know what, go around, enter the classes, it's fine, enter, listen, and then I was like, wow. So I go and I hear one was static, the other one was rhetorics, and the other one, I was like, wait. Ethics,
Yeah.
And I was like, wow.
Your brain started like,
this is doing popcorns, I say.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, this is it. So I went to study philosophy, because philosophy, everything. So I had, ethics covers the biology, and I had good teachers as well.
Which helps a lot.
Yes. So, and then my father was always a little bit suspicious, like what this girl is going to do with this. Yeah. And I remember after doing my studies, I was already working, and when I started working in the field of coaching and trainings, I was doing a manual for a course that I was going to give, and I needed to do something. And my father, bless him, was helping me, to do the manuals. And then he got some. My father is also very curious. He started, and in the end was my presentation.
Yeah.
And my father looked at me and said, "Wow, the thing that I thought that was your biggest flaw, that always doing a lot of stuff and is exactly what pays you now, is your difference."
Yeah.
And he was even a little bit emotional.
No.
And I said,
my daughter is saved.
He's like,
not.
She's okay. She will be okay.
She will be okay.
And I said, it's funny, right? Because we want things to make sense, like what I was saying, but they don't make sense immediately. No. And I think we are also in that when people say, go and focus, and people are expecting that you cannot do it. You cannot do it all.
I even think, to be honest, I think there's two types of people. There's the people that honestly are worried with you, and they think it's not good for you. But more recently, and I'm fascinated by human emotions. And I think some people really cheer for you not to. So there's a big difference for me to look at you and say, Ligia, you really need to take care, dear.
Yeah.
Don't push yourself so hard because life is short. Yeah. I really care for you. And the next thing I will say is like, but Ligia, if you really need something, just call me.
Yeah, exactly.
It's totally different to say, Ligia, just get a grip. Just do one thing. Yeah. And I see a lot of people being extremely or sarcastic or the top. How many times did you heard the sentence, oh, she's everywhere. She's everywhere. But the tone. Or are you also like almost upset? Yeah. But the upsetment, and that's the old feeling of envy. Because the difference of envy is that you don't want other people to have.
Yeah.
Right? And for me,
it's not even jealous, because jealous is like, I want what you have.
Yeah, exactly. And or something like using, I think jealous can be extremely positive.
Yeah.
Because it's about you are an inspiration to me.
Exactly.
I look at your life and it's like, oh my God, I would love
to have that.
So I could pursue that path, right? Like if I see someone that has an amazing body, and I could say, oh, I could go to the gym.
Yeah, I could get some inspiration.
Yes,
or at least that an example of.
That is good. Role models, it's all of that.
Yeah.
That is good. But most of the times what you see is a destruction of the other. And for all the people that will hear us that are creatives and they are like us, always follow that as a good compass.
Yeah.
People that care will tell you, but they will try to help you. Yeah. They can even not agree with you, but they will not try to diminish you.
Okay. Yeah.
There's no diminishing.
Yeah. It's more, this idea that sometimes is like, but if you do that, like almost like putting consequences that you go like, I'm not seeing that as a consequence.
Like I say, it's different. When you have people that, for example, are from a specific area.
Yeah.
And even myself, so many times with law, right? I can say, look, legally speaking, you have this and this challenges, or I would not do this way, but it's your prerogative. Your appetite for risk, your capacity to do this and that. Every time that someone, and of course, specific fields, you should listen. You should listen to your accountant. You should listen to so many people. It's not that. What I talk is the other side. And for example, like I was saying, the startup incubators, the companies that you are inside of a track of career progress. There's so many times that you are hearing not what is good for you, but is also projection from the person, and you should really take care. So listen, but not Even in your area, I say so many times, there's therapies and therapies. There's good professionals, there's bad professionals. And in our world of women, I say so many times that we became a commodity, and we should not, the critical thinking needs to be there.
Yeah, but you also don't think that people are, I feel that sometimes. I feel like people are expecting that, for instance, I'm tired. People are expecting that I'm, how do you say, overwhelmed. People are expecting that...
or that you don't do good everything.
Yeah,
or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's, oh, if she's doing a lot, probably she's not good at anything.
Yeah,
kind of.
I think it's quite common, yeah.
Yeah, and almost like, for instance, I see that with, okay, she has 3 kids, how she does it? And people are expecting, for instance, a lot that I complain.
True.
Like my kids.
Yeah.
Oh, my job. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
And I go like,
No.
no, it's not like that, really. Do you think that is like how, unfortunately, a lot of women gain recognition?
Yes, and I think I think there's a lack. Look, it's very annoying for most people to look to a woman like you.
Oh, and like you, come on.
But we have a difference. I'm going to explain what is the difference, and in that sense, you are my role model. My energy is a combative energy, because, look, I had a path. I look back, and I think I would love to know what have happened with me as a person. In the same year, I entered to law. I also chose, just for curiosity, history of art in Coimbra. And in the end of my degree, law degree, I had a professor, Vera da Cruz, very respected, saying, you should go for a master in philosophy of law. It's the only thing that you really like. And I kept not going to those paths. So meaning I went much more for the corporate. And I think maybe the big difference is that you managed to go to a path that you did cultivate the calm, the breathing, and I love that. And mine, I went to the other side, the combative side.
Okay.
And it has different prices to pay.
Yeah.
Right? So, and in that sense, I do need a lot to work on me, but the difference is, to other people, I know very well what I need to do. I know the choices I'm making now, why I'm making it, and the price I'm paying. I'm not oblivious to that. And 3 years ago, I had a burnout. And I knew I was going for a burnout, in a sense of not conscious, but I knew I was stretching. You know the expression in Portugal, estás a esticar.
The rope is getting thinner and thinner.
But it was a mix of many things. It was the mix of the pandemic that I did not imagine that I would live. There was a situation with my son also in school. So it was a perfect storm. And I chose... I recently there's a documentary on a mother that the child went missing, the daughter went missing. And there's a sentence that she says in that documentary that struck me hard. She said, rage was the only way for me to survive. It kept her alive,
Anger.
and a very powerful force. And I think in the sense that my life was very, 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 very normal. And after 19, my life was really different, right? And really, I needed to grow very fast. I was very alone immediately because an only child, my mom was away, there was no internet and any of that. So I went from one life to another very fast. And I had 2 options, not conscious options, but I could have been extremely depressed and succumb and life is ending and I would harvest the rage. And I call the power of the good rage. And that makes me go out, and that makes me, so that's what I mean about the combative.
Yeah.
And the process now
Yeah.
that I'm walking to the 50s is really talking with myself and saying, she served you well.
Yes.
She can go.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
nice, like really.
Great. Thank
Hey,
you so much.
Girl,
Yeah, you
but
did it.
now you go, because I want to go to the stage where I want to be. I don't want to be that combative. I want to go to the other side.
Yeah, because for instance, I have a thing with that. I don't like people to define me as, for instance, I don't like people to say to me, I'm strong. That I'm strong. Oh, you are so strong. I'm not. I even have a sentence like, I'm so fragile that you cannot break me.
Oh, I like that one. T-shirts.
Yeah, I have a T-shirt.
I like that one.
I'm going to do one for you.
Yeah.
But
we should do an event in the Netherlands with those.
I put it in my T-shirt because that really was, after what happened in my family, people were going around me and saying, you're so strong. And I said, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm so fragile. And that is why you cannot break me. And I think that when people, for instance, as a woman, I don't really appreciate when people call me strong or people call me the warrior. So I don't like even competition. I played volleyball and I stopped because it was too competitive. You know what I mean?
Yes, I hate it. When in law school we had oral exams.
Yeah.
And I managed to understand that I could never had the yes.
Yeah.
Because there was someone that missed.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
And was like, I'm not going to
exactly.
Right. Or even in I played football and I loved. But I hate the face of someone that loses.
No, yeah. For instance, I remember one time we went to, in the company I was working, we went for karting, an event.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, I'm going. And I said, I just go if we don't compete.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't feel any adrenaline about it.
But ironically, what I say to my children is, if it's to compete, then compete.
Yeah,
But you understand what I mean? Because, for
understand.
example, my boys now are in the football. Yeah. And for me, it's about, and that's the integration of the two sides of me. You see, in the book that I co-author, I talk about, it's authenticity in action.
Okay.
I'm way too many days in Portugal. And now the Portuguese is hitting hard. And it was an exercise for me to talk about, when we talk about integration, and especially I do love Carl Jung and the integration of the shadow. And I think I have two names. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows me publicly for Marisa, but I'm Sandra Marisa. And my mom, all my family calls me Sandra.
Oh, okay.
Because Marisa was I went like in the 7th grade.
Yeah.
We had 4 Sandras in class.
Okay, to distinguish.
And a teacher decided I was going to be Marisa, okay. Not me. I like it. Yeah. I'm very comfortable with the name. But now I joke saying that Sandra is the very soft side. It's very naive, adorable, everything that is good. Everything that is good. Yeah. Marisa is the armor that was created around. Yeah. See? And in that sense, as I talk about this combative, is like, I don't appreciate competition for me, but when I talk with people, it's about your intention. Then be truth to yourself. Because some people say,
I'm going to say something to you. See if you relate. Yeah. I always say, I don't fight, but I knock out.
Yes.
I do a knockout.
Yes.
If it's like, okay, then I go for a knockout.
Yeah.
And I always say that.
And that's what I say to the children. Like, because especially the oldest one really does not like to lose. Yeah. And I remember when I was playing football, I was exactly like him. We are extremely, he's this mirror that is like, oh my God. And he gets so in that. And then I talk with him and I say, look, but then you don't train sometimes to be the best. So you're not taking this serious. Yeah. And then you say you want to be Ronaldo. and then you don't know how to lose,
Yeah.
because then you are a sore loser in that. And then what I try to explain is like, choose your line.
Yeah.
And be very honest, because some people are not honest with themselves, and that is the worst nightmare. It's like I have a friend that now in this age, she was always adorable. She's the fun one. She hates confrontation. She hates fights. With my age, she's now saying a sentence like, "I'm feeling this rage."
Yeah.
Because she'd never practiced it, right?
Yeah.
And I joke saying, I'm going to become the peace guru.
Yeah, like-
You're going to become a rage machine, and we will give each other tips. But I feel like that's the thing. Understand who you are, and also who you are in a specific time.
Yeah.
Because people, the person I am now, it's not the person it's going to be, not the person that it is. So there's many of us through life.
Yeah.
And try to be as honest as possible, because we talked about jealousy, right? And I remember I'm part of a global organization, Women in Tech Global Movement. Our CEO, it's an amazing woman, Ayumi. And I remember, especially among women, that competition, that whatever, the jealousy, this and that. And I remember saying, I'm not jealous at all.
Yeah.
But you know why I'm not jealous at all? Because I know exactly, I would not like to have that life.
Yeah, exactly.
I know I can be a complement to that life.
Yeah.
And therefore I'm in the right place, because, but some other people that I saw, they were in that feeling that maybe they want to compete, or they want, but they were not allowing themselves to say,
I want it.
I even joke sometimes, because I love humor. It's so important to have humor and joke a little bit. We were in a summit, and I was surrounded with these women. And women's events are very cute, right? Love, hashtag, ooh. And I wrote a text. I have it, but back then I didn't have the courage to publish, because I was not having the courage to follow that side of me. But I have it still. And the topic, I wrote it in Portuguese. Yeah. And back then I said, the pink elephant in the room. Yeah. And for you, the subtitle, being Portuguese, you will understand better than even the English, is Só lhe faltam as asas. And Só lhe faltam as asas, for our people listening in English, is literally translating, they only miss the wings. Yeah. But is when we see this fake virtue, right? It's so perfect. They are angels.
Like angels.
They are angels.
Almost
that's why
like
you say you only miss the wings, right? And I wrote that because in that event I felt the outside energy and the other energy. When you love human behavior, when you pay attention to micro expressions, when you understand the tone of the voice, the way that people look, right? It's almost and I laughed a lot in that sense. But then after that, I started talking about, females did not integrate their shadow. Yeah. Men, because everything was for men. Yeah. For us, it's like you get the whatever, the witch versus the good fairy. Yeah. It's good enough for you ladies. Yeah. And we are not understanding how to integrate these two sides. Yeah. And I do feel many women do refuse to understand. I remember even reactions like, oh, I don't have a shadow. Okay. And if you say that, we are in trouble then. Yes. But this denial of your full extension, that's when you say, I don't want to do anything, but I will do a knockout. Yeah. And most people do not know. You know very well your essence. Yeah. And I think the great key for all of us, men and women, but I think in particular women, is that you are more aware of who you were designed to be and what kind of choices you're going to make, and what kind of prices you're going to pay, and continue to live in the permanent balance of never perfect, but you try to, and the sacrifices that you make as well, because that's what I mean. Nothing is ever perfect. but when you are conscious, like we're saying, you made specific choices. You know very well the price you paid. I know. And at any moment in our lives, we are not, in a way, people that are in our own...
you don't play the victim.
You don't need to, for sure. But it's almost like I start writing one of my columns now in Portuguese, because I try to have one in Portuguese and one in English. And in Portuguese is sem correntes, with chainless, because I think that also allows you to say, okay, till now I'm this person. Tomorrow it's up to a decision. And of course I still have this body. I will be in a specific age. I will be in a specific country. But this freedom, this inner freedom, it's something that we should cultivate so much more.
I'm talking about a lot about this, and maybe you know, is this idea that I think a lot of the suffering comes from wanting to keep things
as they are,
as they were sometimes.
As they were,
you know,
as they are in this moment. But
I want to almost like fighting with reality. Like, okay, I'm becoming 50. I'm super happy with that, but I honestly am. But I see a lot of my, you know, my surroundings, like, oh, but now I have this and I have that, and like, it is what it is. If you don't want that, just think about, okay, what can I do? Can I still do something about it? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. But what I see is a lot of people fighting with reality. And I think women do this a little bit more. A little bit more. Like, for instance, I have some friends that sometimes they say to me, hey, but how do you do it? And I said, hey, things that I don't do. Let me start there. I need to cook for my kids. That's the reality. I will never complain about that. I need to clean the house. That's it. If I don't do it, guess what? My kids are still small. They are not going to do it. Or I do it myself, or I need to hire someone to do it. That's it. So you will never find me complaining about what it is.
And finding solutions.
I
think that is, and I talk, with my mom is much more negative than I am, and she does complain a lot. And I always tell her, okay, but can we find a solution for? Because I struggle not with the problems, but with the lack of finding solutions for the problem. But that is what annoys me, really.
But that is creativity.
Because I feel like, okay, we have a problem. And that's why the blackout, I was like, a lot of people, the ones who were relaxed, I was not relaxed because my brain was in the mode, I was not in panic at all. I was already trying to anticipate what I could do in how exactly to not go to despair. Because I function very well if I have, I even say, you know, like, I hate flying. But because of that, I need to understand how flying works. Exactly. And for example, this time, I start creating rituals, of course, and I always go to the flight attendant and say, look, I'm a little bit afraid. I'm in that seat. If there's anything, even a smile sometimes happens, because I will be controlling your smile all the time. And for example, the last time she said, okay, today we're going to have a little bit of turbulence. We go through England, not through Spain. And I was already expecting. Exactly. And that works for me. Because it's like, okay, hang on, you're going to have a turbulence. Okay. The unexpected for me, or the lack of solution making, is the big...
But that's, I think, I have the same struggle. When people, I say, you know what, I allow complaining for 5 minutes, it's fine.
Vent it.
Let it out, express it, but then we need to look for progress.
I don't know if you remember, but we, like I say, we are very, very close in age. We used to joke in university times, we had the sentence of like, queres desabafar?
do you want to talk?
Yeah, right. Like, you're like, you know,
want to-
because it's like you really, you
Yeah,
just need
it's
to
just
vent,
yeah,
right?
just put it
Sometimes you
out.
just need to vent, but
It's
there's
fine.
a time to vent.
Yes.
You stop. Okay?
Yes.
It's out.
And please don't vent twice about the same stuff.
Yes, because
Because
then
that
it
means that
becomes,
you didn't do
yeah,
anything
no,
about
that
it.
becomes annoying.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but I think that is the creative part.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, because our brain starts already looking for, is a new way of doing this?
Yeah.
Is a different way of doing this?
And even again, like I said, against me.
Yeah.
In a sense, like, come on,
Well,
is this happening again?
again.
And I remember, you know, being a Latin, my husband Dutch, that emotional side is something. It's like, but why are you so upset? I'm not upset with you at all. Nobody. This is me with me thinking, how are you still in this? Because the inner dialogue is like, oh my God, you are annoying me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally
Like, because you are still doing the same thing, and why I'm not able to fix it in a sense of, come on.
Progress. I like
Yes.
the word progress.
Yeah,
because
progress is
it's
good.
because means that it's not the same. It's not. Sometimes it's not even different. Because the difference between change and transformation, right? Yeah, because transformation is really a new thing. You change
The butterfly.
Yeah, you know, it's really a transformation. It's really not the same thing.
No, totally.
So that's
And change is,
change is like you keep some.
Yeah.
You keep some things as they are, and you do slide. For instance, I don't know, in this table, change will be, I put this white and I keep the rest. Transformation is like, this will become a bench and it's not a table, whatever. So that's, for me, where I see creativity.
Yeah. And people do focus more in change than transformation. Yes. And that is, in a sense, the problem.
Yes.
And also because they expect, I feel like, I don't know if you have this, I would like to actually pick your brain on that, is that we are not patient with the time of the process. Yes. We think that it's going to be, I remember saying to some friends that I start a transformation process 3 or 4 years ago, and I knew, I'm still not even there yet, but I knew it was going to take time.
I always say, you change. You don't need to make an effort to change. Transformation is a different stuff. You need to decide. Yes. And you need, of course, some events will promote
a trigger kind of.
A trigger like, okay, what do I do now? But what I see is that people try to, and you see this in everywhere, like people try to structure the transformation.
Yeah.
I got that in grief.
Mm-hmm.
Grief is like this, and I'm like,
no,
you don't know.
Yeah, not mine.
Yeah. So, but because we are so afraid, because transformation is really sitting with the unknown.
Yeah, and people, I think now, especially nowadays, it's almost like, and in everything, you want to lose weight with a pill. You want to, I'm sad, take a pill, and it's like, or give me a solution that is something like tough, or I have a manual.
Yeah,
and it's like, no,
it's not going to. Sometimes it's going to work. Most part of the times
not.
Will not, and that is the thing, is that, and I think that combines with the idea that I now I'm getting this insight. I never had this before, but I think the uncomfort that we provoke in people is exactly transformation. Is they don't know our next move.
Oh yeah, I'm aware of that, because they
I never had this insight.
They say like that you are unpredictable. Yeah, and also it's like, and even going back to do one thing makes you extremely predictable.
Yeah, exactly.
And for example, if you start a new area, a new this, a new that, it's like, and also unpredictable is associated with control. Yeah, it's much more difficult to control someone that is always reinventing themselves or going this and going there.
My husband always say, you know what is the more difficult thing for me is to trigger you, because I never know how to reach that point that I know that you're going to have a reaction, for instance. Because some days you are triggered for nothing. Sometimes I need to be, and it's so unpredictable. And I think that makes sometimes it makes me, he said many times, like makes me really uncomfortable.
Yes.
Because I don't know
What to expect.
What will work. And I think that is, let's say, less controllable. Like you cannot control so much. And I think that is what makes people uncomfortable.
Yeah. And also, I don't know if you follow now this, I don't know his name, I'm so bad with name, but it's one of these guys that now became a trend. He has really long hair, curly, and he used to be a CIA agent, something like that.
I'm not
and he talks about human behavior, how to predict human behavior, this and that. And most of the creative people are neurodivergent. And he says that even in CIA, the techniques to control people, manipulate people, don't work with neurodivergence. And also because they detect different patterns and all of that. And I feel like that is also that. Because your brain is in constant, focus. No, your brain is 360. It's a panorama thing. It's always.
You know that I have real difficulties with sarcasm and irony, so I don't understand it. So sometimes I'm disturbing people just because I don't understand it, and I'm the one that doesn't understand. But at the same time, that becomes a power.
True.
Because I'm not touched by sarcasm or irony. I go like, okay. And they're like, didn't work.
That many things work, not that one.
Didn't work.
And also, confrontation. Being a woman, when you act more assertive, then they say you're being aggressive. And you're not. But at the same time, for example, I always get amazed saying, if I'm in a confrontation, I'm not trying to destroy you, actually. I'm still here because I want to solve it. But I'm not afraid of going to the uncomfort till this is solved. And I'm not going to get out of here like, I will not talk with you. I will continue to talk with you because I integrate quite well your uncomfort, my uncomfort, and if we are in goodwill, we get out of this. I do struggle a lot with that environment of they only miss the wings because everybody's so adorable and they are so cute and I love you so much, and then they go away and they're like, oh, I hate that person, and that is the environment I struggle with. So I prefer a real
almost like I sometimes say, give me the rude.
Oh yeah,
please.
Please.
The real.
Yes, and if you're upset, just be upset. And the Big Bang Theory show that was so nice, and you had Sheldon, of course. And sometimes I joke saying, I appreciate a Sheldon world. Because he always. There's one thing you never. He was always truthful. And it was a comic series, but you had sometimes the friends, and they were friends, were very patient, but many times they were lying to him, or they were trying to manipulate him, or they were trying, while he could say things that were obnoxious and he was not empathic in many things, but the truth is he did not lie. And in that world, like, for example, if I'm talking with you and you say, and I say so many times in the projects, you don't like something I do, tell me. You don't expect me to cheer. Oh, you found something that I
think it's also.
But I like when people are honest that way.
I think show respect.
Of course.
If I say something, hey, I didn't appreciate this or that, I give you a possibility.
Exactly.
I give you the possibility of saying, hey, I'm sorry, it was not my intention, or no, but it really makes sense for me. I really want to do this. So
not
me,
saying for me as a
Yeah.
show of you, because at least, of course, when I don't say things, it's because I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. Also, yeah.
For me to say something, and especially something that is a little bit difficult,
Yeah.
requires a lot of me.
Yes.
It's because I really care. Even in relationships,
Yes.
you know, of course, being Latina, kind, my husband, and not the same way in for us a good fight.
Yeah.
It's not a destructive. It's like a good discussion. And I remember saying things like, "In the day I stop discussing,
We have a problem.
be aware that it's no longer here."
Yeah.
Because it's a very good.
You gave up.
It's a very good compass for me.
Yeah.
If I stop,
Yeah.
you are
Worrying
not important.
Yeah.
And I remember my grandfather, my mom's dad. I was raised with my parents, and my grandparents from my mom. Was a very quiet man, but he said a few, you know, those pearls of wisdom, and he used to say, desprezo, right?
Disgust?
No,
Almost?
no, desprezo is not disgust, is ignoring.
Yeah, almost ignoring. Okay.
Yeah, but ignoring is your best tool.
Yeah.
In a sense of don't feed.
Yeah.
There's nothing more powerful than that.
Oh yeah.
Which means that you can only do that if you disconnect, because if you love someone, if you care someone, you will never be comfortable in ignoring their pain, their upsetments, everything that comes from them affects you positively or negatively. So if you stop caring, if it doesn't, you don't
you can just it doesn't matter.
No.
Yeah. Okay. We are going. I want to ask
precisely we it's funny because when Tiago started, it was 12:22, and now it's 13:33.
Okay. So I want to just to finish this one.
Yes.
This conversation. Probably we're going to get more.
We hope.
What will be for you the message, today or for the future? Like what do you see? What do you think? What will be for you I think is the message or the sentence. I don't know.
Yeah, I keep thinking, and especially like I say, I'm still very much in this process of Portugal and the last things that happened, and they were so deep. If I thought that humanity agency was something nice to have, now I know it's imperative. In the sense of meaning and life purpose is really where I put, where my brain is, even when my body is not. And the agency, we must claim agency desperately. It's all about us individuals. It's nothing. It's it's a new era. I love to play around with astrology. I like to use it as an icebreaker in conversations. Is very good. But we are entering literally a new era, and being from that era, my star sign is the star, is the water barrier, and you bring this knowledge, and when you are with someone, give, receive is an act that is very important, and I need to practice much more. But as we move to what I believe is going to be extremely challenging times, I always think about the Lord of the Rings, because it was written after the last big war, and the fellowship is the big motto of the book. It's a fellowship of people that come together, and they try to bring the best of humans and restore the nice.
But also they are all different.
They're all different. That's what I love. They are all different. They all have different skills.
Different beliefs.
And also, you know, I think it was 2 years ago I started my year saying that be Sam. And inspired by the fact that people think that the main character, most people think that the main character is Frodo. It's not, it's Sam. It's Sam that saves Frodo in the end. Because he is the one that protects the one in the mission. And I think our leaders, the people, I always think, who cares for the ones who care? And I think when this motors of humanity that care, they start going out of battery, where are they going to refill? Where are they going to continue to be motivated? Because I think the big danger is that these motors are so tired, they start thinking, why bother? And I think these people, in particular, need to start getting closer. They need to start creating this capacity, like we, talking with each other, saying, I'm here, you're not alone. This is going to be tough, but we are trying to help each other. And I really think that if I ever see the Oxford Dictionary adding a section on human literacy and literacy 21, I think I would be extremely happy. And, you know, from the land of Carmen Miranda, that many don't know, but it was a little girl that came out of my own town to Brazil, to Hollywood, with a very creativity thing.
Very different at that time.
And I was now in Marco, and in her statue, they say, pequena notável.
Wow.
And and being, try to be that star that you have in you, not on social media, but what talents do you have to bring to the world? You are a force, and try to understand what is inside, to bring it, and bring it full force, no apologies, and who cares if people tell you you are doing too many things.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.